In conversation with the former finance minister, joining us now on ET Now is Mr. P Chidambaram. So thanks for taking your time out and speaking to us at ET Now. Let me first begin by asking you, just before coming for this interview, I was reading the piece that you wrote for one of the newspapers right after the budget, and you said the last line was what really got me, saying that I know you did not deserve it, I'm afraid, but that's what you got yesterday. You've been a finance minister before. These times were really unprecedented, if I should put it like that. Wouldn't you give the current finance minister some benefit of doubt that these were indeed tough times?
Why is it unprecedented? The crisis that Dr. Manmohan Singh faced in 1991 was truly unprecedented. The crisis that I faced in 2008, when the international financial crisis happened, was absolutely unprecedented. So I don't think what the Indian economy faces today is unprecedented. It's partly a man-made disaster, partly due to external factors. If you want me to give her the doubt, give her the benefit of the doubt, I can give her the benefit of the doubt that she didn't prepare the budget.
Sir, since you're saying it is partly man-made, partly due to external factors, when the global economy itself is going down, India cannot be completely insulated, right? And which is why we're seeing what's happening in India is partly due to what's happening globally as well. Also add to it the trade wars, the fear that global economy too will be weak.
Nothing compares to the international financial crisis of 2008. And certainly it does not compare with the Asian financial crisis of 1997, nor does it compare with the taper tantrum of 2012-13. So don't tell me the story about this is an unprecedented challenge. There have been worse precedents, and they have been tackled. They've been tackled after paying a price. There have been ups and downs, but we have tackled them. I think the problem with this government is it has proved itself to be an incompetent manager. If there is a crisis, you must have the competence to manage it.
Is it really worth paying the price as well? We saw, sir, what happened many years ago when you yourself went ahead with the stimulus, and thereafter we did see the fiscal deficit really ballooning. The argument that the government is giving this time is that they did whatever they could by using the FRBM escape clause. You do your damned, you don't your damned.
No, not really. You have to balance it off. I believe in fiscal consolidation, but sometimes you'll have to trade it off with other goals. I did one stimulus package and I moved to the Home Ministry. It was followed by two stimulus packages. So we can argue about whether the second was necessary, whether the third was necessary at all. But the fact remains that thanks to the stimulus packages, although inflation went up and the fiscal deficit went up, jobs were preserved. Small and medium industry did not perish. Today we have a situation where MSM and MSME, MS is finished. Micro and small is over. The story is over. In the automobile industry alone, 2 lakh jobs have been destroyed. 296 auto workshops, when they put out that statement, have been closed. Therefore, you have to do a trade-off. Jobs are lost, micro and small enterprises are closed, medium enterprises are struggling, NBFCs are gasping for breath. Now, in such a situation, how much liberty can you take with the fiscal deficit is the question.
You've been a finance minister before. It's a catch-22. How much liberty can one really take? You've been in those shoes before, sir.
Yeah, but my tenure showed a reduction in fiscal deficit. The expansion in fiscal deficit.
This government would like to claim the same.
No, when you said you, I thought you meant me personally. My government was in office when the expansion took place. My personal tenure showed a consolidation, be that as it may. All right, you have allowed yourself 3.8. You've allowed yourself to borrow an additional about 63,000 crore. The budget estimate of 7,03,000, you're borrowing 7,66,000 crore. Now, where is this money going? If you took liberty with the fiscal deficit, then you should make sure that it is converted into a stimulus package. That I don't find. They have cut programs as critical as Maganrega, PM Kisan, Swachh Bharat Mission, midday meal scheme. They've cut allocations.
You know, on that...
Now, how do you call this a well-crafted strategy that you borrow more and stimulate the economy by putting money in the hands of the very poor?
You know, you made a point about Manrega and PM Kisan. The government's argument is that these are demand-based schemes. Whatever the states are demanding, whatever the different departments are demanding, we are giving them, you know, as much money. If that money is not utilized, does it really make sense to allocate a higher sum in the budget?
That's a lie. Non-utilization of midday meal scheme is a illustration of your inefficiency and incompetence. Are you suggesting that the children suddenly don't want food? Or the children don't go hungry? What kind of an argument is that?
But what about PM Kisan and Manrega?
PM Kisan was not demand-based. PM Kisan was target-based. You said we will give 6,000 rupees to every landholding farmer.
But there are states that have not given the...
Well, you're interrupting an answer.
Go ahead, sir.
You said you will give 6,000 rupees to a landholding farmer who holds up to 2 hectares. That is not demand-based, that is target-based. You identified your target and you said you will give money. Now you could give 12,000 to the same farmer. You could expand the coverage from landholding farmer to tenant farmer, a demand that has been made from day one. So if you increase the subsidy and you expanded the coverage, that would have put money directly and immediately in the hands of the farmer. So there were opportunities to do that. Instead of that, you've borrowed additional money and you've spread it thin across a variety of programs. The correct thing to do was to suspend some programs for a year or to freeze the programs for a year and sharply expand the programs where money would have gone directly and immediately to the poor.
You know, I must ask you, the government has gone ahead and trying to revive the animal spirits for the corporate sector. They went ahead with the corporate tax cut. As far as the demand for personal income tax also goes, they've gone ahead and taken away a lot of exemptions. Do you think in that sense that will do enough? Is it a fair enough beginning in terms of simplifying?
It won't do enough. We said that when they gave away 1,45,000 crore, according to estimates made at that time by the corporate tax cut. We said this won't convert into investment. They didn't listen to us. Where did that money go? It went into deleveraging. It went into increased dividend. The rest, the corporates are sitting on piles of cash. Tell me which corporate has come out with major investment programs. Same thing will apply to this personal income tax. Every day we get different explanations. First they said it's a one-time option. Now they say it's an annual option. You can get in and get out of the scheme. I don't know how that's going to work. They've estimated at 40,000 crore. They put out a table which is hopelessly wrong. In fact, the Times of India carried it as a box and pointed out the error. The next day they put out the right table. They took into account only the income and the tax rate. They forgot there is a third column called savings. That will decide whether you will fall under one tax rate or another tax rate. So I don't think it's going to be a win-win for the taxpayer. He has to make a choice. The year he saves the year he does not save, he'll have to make a choice. So when you make that choice, I'm not sure that the estimate that 40,000 crore will be lost every year will be a correct estimate. It may be much less. If it is say 20,000 or 25,000, it has no impact at all. Even 40,000, according to me, has no impact in a country whose budget is,
over
in terms of total
crores.
expenditure,
Over
30 lakh crore. What is 40,000 crore?
So you believe it's not going to move the needle as far as reviving
Certainly
demand?
not. Certainly not. There's no enthusiasm for this.
What will revive demand? I mean, the government has been trying to play around with various things. You've been a finance minister before. What is going to move the needle?
What will revive demand is putting money in the hands of the masses, not putting money in the hands of the classes. You'll have to put money in the hands of people who do not have a high propensity to save. If you put money in my hand, I will save the bulk of it because my wants are more or less satisfied. If you put money in the hands of the very poor, he will spend it because he has very low propensity to save. He will buy milk, he will buy rice, he will buy slippers for his wife, he will buy a watch, he will buy a table, he will buy a chair.
Basically get the consumption going.
Therefore, put money in the hands of the poor. Therefore, you have to identify programs which would have put money directly in the hands of the poor and expanded those programs sharply.
In that sense, would you say that the government's own estimate of 6 to 6.5% with respect to growth is going to be doable?
It's a big lie.
We're at least starting. I mean, a lot of people say we've started seeing green shoots with the PMI manufacturing data at a 7-year high.
PMI is not a number. Please understand. I mean, you are projecting PMI as if it is data. PMI is simply the perceptions of managers in the manufacturing sector. It's not a concrete number. It's not a concrete number like credit growth.
GST collections have been up for the last 6 months.
I probe that a little more. If you're an investigative journalist, probe the last month's claim. In January, they've crossed 1 lakh. A little word whispers in my ear that they've held back refunds for 40,000 crore in order to sweeten the budget presentation on that day. Maybe 40,000 and maybe 30,000, I don't know. But a little bird whispers in my ear that the accumulated refunds which have been held back amount to about 40,000 crore. Now, be that as it may, we were talking about earlier about the GDP growth. That's a lie. You know it's a lie. This year, current year, they assumed nominal GDP growth of 12%. They ended up with 8.5. And they will have real GDP growth of no more than 5. If the base year, they have revised it from 6.8 to 6.1, this may push up this 5 to 5.2 or 5.3. But that is a statistical result, not a real growth rate, not a real change. Next year, you are assuming a nominal growth rate of only 10. Your starting point is no longer 12, your starting point is 10. When did we have nominal growth rate of 10? I can't remember. I think some 40 years ago. So you start with a nominal growth rate of 10, account for inflation, what does it leave you? Where does it leave you with 6 and 6.5? One of the numbers is wrong. Either the chief economic advisor is wrong when he says we will have real GDP growth between 6 and 6.5, or the finance minister is wrong when she says in a budget speech that I will have a nominal growth rate of 10.
So let me also ask you then about the disinvestment target. Everybody's been talking about the fact that the disinvestment target this year is very high. But yes, it is high, but on the other hand, look at what the government is trying to do with respect to privatization of state-run companies. Also, they're talking about listing of LIC. Don't you think that, firstly, the government doesn't have business to be in business? Secondly, listing of LIC will only make the company more transparent.
No business to be in business is all attractive slogan. That's a general proposition, it's correct. But in some situations, some contexts, if government already is in a business, there's no reason to leave it just because you have embraced the idea government has no business to be in business. Life insurance in India is more than a business. It's the only social security which most people have got. Life Insurance Corporation is no longer a monopoly. It's competing with some of the largest insurance companies in the world with very, very deep pockets, bigger than LIC. And in that fierce competition, it seems to have increased its market share of first premium. That's what I read somewhere. Now that's a very good achievement. Now you must tell me why you want to disinvest LIC now. You want to privatize Air India, you say is incompetently managed, we need private managers to manage Air India. An acceptable argument. You must give me a reason why you want to list LIC. If it is only for pro forma listing, that's one thing. But if you are really going to disinvest in LIC, you must tell me why you want to disinvest LIC.
The government says they want to unlock value.
Only to collect money. Only because your revenue is short. Only because you are begging for money, you've begged, borrowed, stolen. You can't beg, borrow, steal anymore. You don't want to sell LIC.
But you know, at a time like this, when every time a disinvestment takes place and if it's falling short in terms of getting investors, we tend to LIC for everything. I mean, look at how a lot of disinvestments used to take place. Isn't it better and in the interest of also the people who are investing in LIC that there is some sort of a transparency in the entire process?
That is because you are giving wrong instructions to the LIC board.
But it's been happening for years. It's not like...
Tell me an example where LIC has taken over a bank like IDBI. Give me an example. Don't say this legacy. Just show me an example. You must be prepared to give support your case with an example. If Congress was in power, we would not have asked LIC to take over IDBI. Why should you take over IDBI? And now they're going to privatize IDBI, which means LIC will sell its shareholding or not, I don't know. See, whenever this government wants money, it uses the public sector and then says, I'm going to privatize it.
As a finance minister, how?
So I don't think those are all matters which require brownie points.
As a former finance minister, how worried are you with the state of the Indian financial system, the banking system?
It's in a mess. The mess has been created by this government. You can't any longer keep blaming the UPA. How long will this bogus argument of legacy work? You say you cleaned up the NPAs. Now why NPA is rising again? How much have you written off in the last 5 years? You've written off 6,65,000 crore rupees. There's never been a 5-year period where the scheduled commercial banks have written off 6,65,000 crore rupees as irrecoverable loans. Therefore, it's in a mess. Your NBFCs are in a mess. Your mutual funds are in a mess. And your banking system is in a great mess. The point is, you must have a clear philosophy of what the banks are supposed to do, what the NBFCs are supposed to do, and their respective roles. You don't have a clear idea, and therefore you land yourself in a situation like this. Have you licked the NPA problem? Have you licked the balance sheet problem? No. In the bargain, credit growth has practically vanished. Credit growth to industry is negative. Credit growth to SMEs negative. What is propping up credit growth and making it appear positive is housing loan and personal loan. Look at the breakdown of the credit growth of banks. Housing loan and personal loans are propping up credit growth.